Now, friends, let us spend the rest of the time learning some aspect of Dhamma. I have been talking on Bojjhanga, and out of them we say when we practice Bojjhanga, the first one is mindfulness. Under mindfulness, I was talking on the Satipatthana, 37 factors of enlightenment. Out of these 37, first 4 are the 4 foundations of mindfulness, then 4 right effort, 4 Iddhipadas, 5 faculties, 5 powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, and then Noble Eightfold Path. These are the 37 factors of enlightenment. Please try to remember these 37. Out of these 37, I take the first 4 foundations of mindfulness. I was discussing the first one, mindfulness, or 4 foundations of mindfulness. First one is mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the body in the discourse divided into 6 groups, 6 categories. We discussed the first category, that is Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. Second category is postures. Third category is clear comprehension. Now today we want to discuss the fourth category, that is called body parts. Sometimes it is called impurities of the body. We mentioned this is very essential part of the mindfulness of the body. This is also called Patikula Manasikara. Patikula is literal translation of Patikula is going against the current. Going with the current is called Anukula. Anukula. Patikula, Anukula. And Patikula Manasikara is also one of the 4 reflections. They are called Anusati. 4 reflections are reflections of the Buddha, Metta, Asubha, impurities of the body, and the death. These are standard 4 reflections. And many people recite the 32 parts of the body called Patikula Manasikara. Many traditional Buddhists in Buddhist countries have memorized these 32 and they repeat them. Many times they repeat, especially on full moon days, new moon days, quarter moon days, when they spend time in monasteries, practicing meditation, observing the 8 precepts. During that time, many, particularly elderly people, recite these 32 parts of the body. That has some superficial benefit, but these 32 parts of the body has to be used and practiced with to develop great insight, wisdom. Let us see the 32 parts first. I think you all know these 32 parts in Pali, many of them know in Pali. Now let us focus them on them and see the English translation so that you may remember them. Then English translation is they divided into groups. In the first group, we have head hair, body hairs, nails, teeth, and skin. These are the first group of five, the first group. Why these five are mentioned first? Because these are the things that we can see very clearly. We can see our head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, and skin. These are the five we see very clearly. And these are the things that our mind deceive us. These things deceive our mind. When we see hair, we think hair is beautiful, pleasant, attractive, and we have all kind of things we do to our hair, hairstyles, hairdressers, saloons. All these things are even industry, saloon industry, and so forth. There is in the modern world, and in the past, in Asian traditions, long hair is one of the beauties of a woman, Pancha Kalyana. So hair has very special place in our life. That is why we spend so much time, energy, and effort and money to keep our hair in a certain way. And people use hair to do various things to attract people and so forth and so on. That's the head hair. And then the body hair, like people who have beard and they cut their beard in certain way. Also, they like to use the beard to either attract people or to show their, you know, masculinity and so forth. So this is the second thing. Third is nails. We have to, people, especially women, polish their nail and color their nails and so forth as a part of their makeup to attract people. And then teeth. We spend more time on teeth. Sometimes we even don't have insurance for teeth. Teeth gives us a lot of problems, losing teeth and so forth. We have two sets of teeth, milk teeth and adult teeth. And then from childhood, in many affluent countries, they go to dentist and take care of their teeth, and so slowly they grow and some lose their teeth, and they do all sort of things to fix it, clean it, put partials and implant and use bone transplant and all these. They do with all these things. These teeth go through its true nature. That is, they loses, and we lose teeth, sometimes pull. We have a lot of pain when we have toothache, and so forth. A lot of things happening to our teeth. And then finally we lose it, then we put partial or breech or crown or denture and so forth. All sorts of things to our teeth. And then skin. Skin also is very important aspect. Skin is just like covering a wound. When you remove the skin, little part of skin, then the rest is exposed. Buddha even compared to the perception like removing skin. Uh, when the skin is removed, a cow, for instance, Buddha used the simile, skin cow, whether she stands in the sun or in rain, in water, against the tree. If she stands against the tree insects will come and eat her flesh. Mosquitoes, when she is exposed to air will touch the skin. And when it stands in water, water insect or animals or fish and so forth will cut, bite, and so forth. It is very, very painful. So, and they also deceive people's eyes to think that a certain skin color is more pleasant, more attractive. Certain skin colors are not pleasant, not attractive, and so forth and so on. All this happened to these first five, and therefore meditating on them correctly, not incorrectly. I will explain later on how people misunderstand these things and how misunderstanding lead to danger. I will explain all these things. But I simply want to mention this as a part of our mindfulness meditation and reflection of 32 parts of the body. These are the first five. Second five is flesh. What do you call? And they can be, all these 32 parts of the body belong to the earth element that we discuss later on. But let us mention the names. Second is flesh, then sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, large intestines, small intestines, content of the stomach, feces, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is solidified and clung to. This is called the internal earth element. Now these first 20 belong to internal earth element. Then whatever belongs to that. Then Buddha said, now both internal earth element and external earth element are simply earth elements. So we have to remember this. So I like to first give the list of these things and then we discuss all these elements, how these 32 parts belong into element. The next part is water. That is bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, urine, and whatever. These 12 belong to water elements. Now these are the 32 parts. Out of them, first 5 belong, the first, 20 belong into earth element. Second 12 belongs to water elements. Now these are the 32, but there are more elements. When we talk about elements, meditation on element, I mention them. Now these are the 32. And these 32 should be used as part of our mindfulness meditation. If we misunderstand them, then there will be a problem. How people misunderstand these elements? There was a disciple, sometimes when we misunderstand, there are two things can happen. One, both depends on our emotions. I mentioned that we have to see things as they really are. Conventionally speaking, these 32 parts are actually not pleasant. They are pleasant. And nothing coming out of this body is pleasant. Nothing coming out of this body is sweet smelling. To that extent, conventionally, that is true. Now, but, and therefore, this conventional truth of these 32 parts of the body can lead to emotions, to emotional reactions. Both are negative. So I give you some examples. One example is Venerable Sariputta had a disciple. This disciple was full of lust. So Venerable Sariputta asked him to practice this meditation, focus his mind on 32 parts of the body. Because they said they are unattractive, unpleasant, not sweet smelling. When you focus mind on that, Buddha said your lust will disappear. So this student of Venerable Sariputta took this subject, went away and sat under a tree and focused his mind on 32 parts of the body. And he found, to his surprise, instead of reducing his lust increased. Then he came to Venerable Sariputta and said, Venerable Sir, this does not work for me. My lust increases. And Venerable Sariputta said, no, go back, and this is a good subject for you. Venerable Sariputta is the wisest monk, with wisdom. He has attained full enlightenment. Buddha has praised Venerable Sariputta for his wisdom. So he asked him to go back and practice again. Second time this monk tried, it did not work, his lust increased, and he returned to Venerable Sariputta. Third time also Venerable Sariputta asked him to practice the same meditation. And third time also he could not get rid of his lust. So, when he came back to Venerable Sariputta said, okay, let us go and see the Buddha as final solution. So he took him to the Buddha. As soon as the Buddha saw at this disciple of Venerable Sariputta, Buddha realized this monk, this subject is not suitable for him. Although it is prescribed for people full of lust to get rid of practice this to get rid of their lust, but it does not work for this particular monk. Why is that? He came from a goldsmith family. Goldsmith family. As a goldsmith family, a member, he used to see gold color. He likes gold color. Now, Buddha, instead of asking him to repeat the same practice, Buddha gave him a lotus flower. Very fresh, water dripping lotus flower. And it has a red color lotus. Asking him there was a pond nearby the monastery, and asked him to take the flower and stick in the ground and focus his mind on the color of this lotus. At the same time, some children in the neighborhood picked some lotus from the pond, and they also stuck them in the ground. This venerable monk looked at the beauty of these flowers. They are fresh, fragrant, water dripping, young and healthy. He was looking at them, paying total attention to them, and while it was in the sun, while he was paying attention, focusing his mind on these lotus flowers, seeing the color, and right before his eyes, these lotus flowers began to wither one by one, slowly, gradually, and withered and failed. The color became pale color, and gradually the whole stalk became weak, and the whole flower fell on the ground. First petal fell down, then the stalk, then entire flower fell on the ground, right in front of his eyes. Then he thought, at the same time, insight arose in him. What is the insight? Just like this flower, so fragrant, full of color, fresh, faded away, this body of mine also fades away, gets old and passes away. That is what we do when we offer the flowers to the Buddha. Puppang milayati yatha idamme, kayo tatha yati vinasa bhavam. We use these reflections on offering flowers. Every time we offer flowers, we recite this line. Pujena buddhang kusmenena punyena etena chod nacha hoti mokkang. Etena hoti mokkang, even by doing so I may get liberation. Puppam milayati yatha idamme. Just like these flowers fade away, this body of mine too gets old and fades away and dies. So when he sees this, he saw impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness. All the three marks of existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, all these three he saw. At that instant, he attained full enlightenment, and then he heard Buddha said, pain, he had Penupamang kayamimito nagarupman chitta midan tapetva yodhet maram panyayudena Jitanjarake Anivesanosia. This body is like a clay pot. Clay pot is brittle, subject to break any time. Nagarupa manchitta midanta petva. This mind is like a city. You know, when you imagine a city like New York City or Toronto City or any city, you can see the activities. Any city has trillions of activities, vehicle, people, sounds, music, and so forth and so on. All these are very, very busy. All hustle bustle. That is like, the mind is like that. Nagarupma chittamidan tapitva. Then yodhetamaram panyayudena. Defeat the enemy. Mara. Mara is the name for all defilements. All defilements put together and called Mara. They are called Mara because they always try to kill our wholesome states, always destroy our wholesome mental state. They try to prevent us from attaining liberation. The what you call army of Mara. And therefore, Yodet Marang, you fight them with weapon of wisdom. Fight them with a weapon of wisdom, Panya Yudhena. Jita, and then Jitancha Rakke Anivesanosia. One should fight the Mara with a wisdom weapon. You gain. You gain. You don't lose. You will win. Once you win and gain something, don't hold on to that. You know, in battles, in wars, they fight for certain things, certain in geopolitical wars, they fight to gain some lands. And then the victors will set their garrison, army, to protect that land that they gain. And Buddha said, don't do that. In the fight against Mara, against defilements, army of Mara, once you fought and won, don't try to stay there. Anivesanosia. Nivesana means house, the place where you stay. Don't try to stay there. Let it go. Let it go. That means don't hold on to your I consciousness, my consciousness, mind consciousness. Don't think that attainment is mine. This attainment belongs to me. This, I attain this. So my mind should be destroyed along with the destruction of the army of Mara. Don't hold on to it. So he attained full enlightenment and returned to the Buddha. So, in this case, Venerable Sariputta, even Venerable Sariputta, who was so wise, second only to the Buddha, even he could not give a subject of meditation to students because he did not see the state of mind of the student. And therefore, it is impossible for an unenlightened person to select a suitable subject of meditation for any particular person. We have a variety of subjects of meditation. Each person must try according to the person's temperaments, mentality, spiritual development to select a suitable subject. So, I want to say more things about this subject of impurities of the body. This is the first part of the talk. And next week, I will continue this. I don't know how long it will take because it is such a profound subject and greatly misunderstood subject, and therefore people sometimes don't like the subject because of this misunderstanding. But I want to point out the deeper part of this practice, and therefore it takes little longer time to explain and expand and explain and show the other side of this practice. I think for today this may be enough, and we will continue. Remember, when you come next Sunday, prepare to listen to the other parts of this wonderful subject. You know, when we were trained in the Buddhist missionary school, my teacher warned us, when you talk about this subject, you have to be very, very careful, because there always is a possibility of misunderstanding. And that is what I try to avoid now. So friends, let me conclude this morning's talk.